What if I told you you're about to witness the biggest transfer of wealth in history, and most families aren't ready for it? In this video, I'll break down what this $70 trillion wealth transfer means for your family, how to avoid the most common mistakes that we see people make, and how trusts can protect your legacy for generations. We've worked with families who were caught off guard, big inheritances lost to taxes, court battles, or just simply poor planning, but it doesn't have to be that way. I'm estate planning attorney Mike Smith with Smith Barrett LLC, and I'm one half of the estate planning guys. We've helped hundreds of Georgia families secure their legacies and transition wealth the right way with clarity, not confusion. Now, you might think that estate planning is just for the ultra wealthy, but stay with me because this is going to affect you and the people you care about, whether you realize it or not. So let's talk about the great wealth transfer. What would your family do with a sudden inheritance? Chances are most people haven't really thought that through. And the reality is that over the next 20 years, trillions of dollars will change hands from baby boomers to their children and grandchildren. And this is the biggest transfer of wealth in history. And unfortunately, what happens generally when people come into a windfall, as we call it, so whether they win the lottery or it's an inheritance or some other type of windfall, that's generally spent within 3 years. But it doesn't have to be that way. And it's interesting that we're talking about money here, but remember that what you leave your family is not just about money. It's also about values, responsibility, and what kind of legacy that you want to leave behind. And if you do a good job of passing those things on, then you can ensure that whatever the assets are that you leave for your family are able to help your family for generations, and they're able to last much longer than if we just dump a bunch of money out and it's spent very quickly. So if you've ever wondered how to prepare your family for the future, hit that like button to help others find this information too. So let's talk about some of the pitfalls that destroy inheritances. And this is probably not what you're expecting, but one of the biggest mistakes that we see is that families sometimes have no plan in place at all. And that can end up being a disaster because people that you thought weren't going to get a big piece of the estate may end up getting, an inheritance. We worked with a family recently where it was a second marriage, and the children from the first marriage thought that they were going to wind up with the house, but they didn't understand that because mom had no will, their stepdad was going to wind up with at least a portion of the house. And that could have all been avoided. That's not what the desired outcome was from mom. That all could have been avoided if they'd come to see us before we got to the probate. So without clear instructions, families often fall into conflict, and assets can get tied up in probate court, and the money then gets eaten up by attorneys' fees, taxes, other administrative costs. You'd regret not listening to what I'm about to say because even a well-meaning family can turn on itself when money enters the picture. Trust me, I've seen it. If you're curious about how to avoid these pitfalls for your family, click the link in the description below, go to our resource page, and there we have a checklist, an estate planning checklist, and you can see if you have all the right pieces in place just by checking off the boxes on that checklist. Now, let's talk about one more thing, which is trusts matter more than ever. So trusts are a way that you can protect your family from all the pitfalls that I've been talking about. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. Trusts are not just for the ultra wealthy. They're a tool for control, privacy, and efficiency. Without a trust, you're going to end up going through probate court, either while you're alive in a conservatorship or guardianship proceeding, and then after you've passed away, your family will have to probate your estate. But with a trust, we avoid that probate, and you get to decide who gets what, when, and how. Chances are you probably haven't heard this anywhere else, but a trust can even protect your child's inheritance from creditors, lawsuits, or even a divorce. So you can put in place a vehicle that will protect them from themselves, if you will, protect them from creditors. Even in a bankruptcy, they can be protected from creditors if you've set things up right. So think of a trust kind of like a playbook. It keeps the game going exactly the way you drew it up, even when you're not there to coach anymore. So let's recap what we've been talking about. The great wealth transfer is already happening and it will impact your family. Without a plan, that inheritance can turn into a burden. And last, a trust can preserve your wealth, protect your heirs, and pass down your values, not just your valuables. If you want to see how this plays out with real property and probate, then check out our last video about how you can navigate probate and why landlords in particular need to have estate planning in place. You'll want both of these strategies working together.